So now for question 41, drivers for a freight company makes varying number of delivery stops. The mean number of stop is 6 and the standard deviation is 2. Two drivers operate independently of one another. Identify the two random variables and summarize your assumption. What are the mean and the standard deviations of the number of stops made in a day by these two drivers? So x1 is the stops made by driver 1, x2 is the number of stops made by driver 2. We assume that these two random variables are independent. We are told that the expected number of stops by each of these drivers is 6 and the standard deviation is 2, which makes their variance 4. Now an important thing here to note is although the expected values are same and the variance are same, we cannot say that the random variables are identically distributed, because in order for them to be identically distributed, we need their distributions to be same. There can be two random variables with different distributions but with the same mean and the variance. So now if my random variable, I consider the random variable u, which is x1 plus x2. U is the total number of stops made in a day. So the expected value of u is expected value of x1 plus x2, which is expected value of x1 plus expected value of x2, which gives me 12. And variance is the sum of the individual variances because they were independent, which is equal to 8. Standard deviation is the square root of variance. What about the total time spent? Now since the first driver takes 1 hour for each stop and the second one takes 1.5 hours for each stop, the total time is 1.5 times x1 plus 1.5 times x2. So expected value of t is expected value of x1 plus 1.5 times x2, which gives me 15. What about the standard deviation? It is the square root of the variance, which is what? Variance of x1 plus 1.5 square variance of x2, which is 4 plus 1.5 square 4, which is what? 3.25 times 4, and square root of that is the answer. So now the next question is a very similar question. Here we are asked what are the two variables and what are the assumptions made. The two variables are x1 is the amount made by person 1, x2 is the amount made by person 2, and the expected values are 300 for both and the variances is 100 square for both. What is the assumption made? The assumption is they are both IID. So find the mean and the standard deviation of the total winnings, that is the mean and the standard deviation of x1 plus x2. So the expected value of that is expected value of x1 plus x2, which is expected value of x1 plus expected value of x2, which is 600. Variance of x1 plus x2 is variance of x1 plus variance of x2, which is 2 times 100 square. The standard deviation of the total winnings is the square root of the variance, which is equal to 141.41. Difference in earnings is x1 minus x2, which is expected value of that is the expected value of the differences, which is 0. The variance of the difference is variance of x1 minus x2, which is variance of x1 plus negative 1 square variance of x2. It is exactly like the like this question here. This one, part D, which we discussed here, the standard deviation. So that is exactly what we are doing. And the final answer is 2 times 100 square, and that is